Welcome back to Mr. Leek's free science tutorials. This topic is going to be all about cells and it's the first major topic within the AQA biology. Now, like I said, it's all going to be to do with cells, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through individual questions, individual extended questions that you then need to be able to answer without referring to any information. So the first question is, describe a eukaryotic animal cell and explain the function of all of its parts. Okay, now this is then a flashcard that would be a very good idea to create so that you can then have a reference point every single time that you're then trying to answer this question. So let's describe a eukaryotic animal cell and explain the function of all its parts. This is then what you need to be able to do. You have a picture of a cell there, and it's split up into 5 individual different bits: the cytoplasm, nucleus, cell membrane, ribosome, and mitochondrion. You need to read through and be able to explain back exactly what each one of those individual different parts do. So, the correct answer to this question, describe a eukaryotic animal cell and explain the function of all its parts. What you would do is, a eukaryotic animal cell has cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is the site of the chemical reactions in the cell, and what it is, it's a gel-like substance containing enzymes to catalyse the reaction. The nucleus, it contains genetic material, and its role is to control the activities of the cell and codes for proteins. That should be for proteins. The cell membrane is semi-permeable. Basically, that means it'll let some things in and stop other things going in, and vice versa. It controls the movement of substances in and out of the cell. The ribosome is the site for protein synthesis. Remember key terminology. mRNA is translated to an amino acid chain, right? So that is then mRNA, which is a type of it's a copy of half of the DNA that's then translated out into the cytoplasm, out into the ribosome, which then makes protein, which are amino acids. The mitochondrion is the site of respiration, and this is where energy is released for the cell to function. Now that is then your extended question or extended answer to describe a eukaryotic animal cell and explain the function of all its parts. So you need to be able to write down: cytoplasm is the site of the chemical reaction in the cell. It is a gel-like substance containing enzymes to catalyse the reactions. The nucleus contains genetic material and it controls the activities of the cell and codes for proteins. The cell membrane is semi-permeable. It controls the movement of substance in and out of the cell. The ribosome is the site of protein synthesis, and this is where mRNA is translated to amino acid chain. And the mitochondrion, the bigger dots there, are the site of respiration where energy is released for the cell to function. That answers the first possible eukaryotic cell question. Welcome back to Mr. Leek's free science tutorials. The next question that we're going to be talking about is to do with plant cells. And the question this time is, compare a plant and animal cell. What are the functions of the extra parts of the plant cell? Now, in the previous video, what we did is we went through the eukaryotic animal cell, and what you needed to know is you need to know all those 5 different things and their functions. This one is now saying, compare a plant and animal cell. What are the functions of the extra parts of the plant cell? So this diagram is then a eukaryotic plant cell. There is your plant cell. And what I've just done on this diagram here is I've just got the 3 extra bits, because the plant cell contains the cytoplasm, the nucleus, the cell membrane, the ribosomes, and the mitochondrion. So you don't need to mention them because it's saying what are the functions of the extra parts of the plant cell. So to answer this, you can say, compare a plant and animal cell. You say that both types of eukaryotic cells, the animal and the plant cell, will contain cytoplasm, nucleus, cell membrane, ribosomes, and mitochondrion, which is compare a plant and animal cell. What are the functions of the extra parts? Now, the extra parts are your permanent vacuole, your cell wall, and your chloroplasts. The permanent vacuole contains cell sap, and it keeps the cell turgid and contains sugars and salts in solution. Okay, turgid basically means solid, right? It keeps its structure. The cell wall is made of cellulose, and it supports and strengthens the cell. I always like to think of cellulose as celery. You know, if you bite celery, and what you do is you kind of get those stringy bits that come off celery, that is then an example of cellulose, and it supports and strengthens the cell. Chloroplast is the site of photosynthesis, and what it does, it contains chlorophyll and absorbs light energy. So, referring back to the question, this is what you need to know. Compare a plant and animal cell. What are the functions of the extra parts of the plant cell? So, both eukaryotic cells, animal cells and plant cells contain cytoplasm, nucleus, cell membrane, ribosome and mitochondrion. A plant cell, the extra parts that a plant cell have are the permanent vacuole. And what this does, it contains cell sap, keeps cells turgid and contains sugars and salts in solution. It also has a cell wall, which is inside of the cell membrane. It's made of cellulose and it supports and strengthens the cell. Chloroplast is the site of photosynthesis and contains chlorophyll and absorbs light energy. That is then the answer to that question. Welcome back to Mr. Leek's free science tutorials. The question that I'm going to be dealing with in this video is describe and give the functions of a prokaryotic bacterial cell. Okay, so describe it and then give the functions of it, of a bacterial cell. Okay, so now here is a summary sheet of the prokaryotic bacterial cell. Basically what it's got 5 different individual parts. It's got a cell membrane around the outside. It's got bacterial DNA, which is like a little squiggle that's inside there. It's got a cell wall, again, around the outside. Plasmid, which is like a little circle in there. And then cytoplasm, which is then sort of the vast majority of the cell itself. And sometimes it says flagella, which is like the tail at the end there. Now, the question is, describe and give the functions of the prokaryotic bacterial cell. So to answer this question, what you need to do is you need to say, a prokaryotic bacterial cell contains a cell membrane. The cell membrane is semi-permeable, and what it does, it controls the movements of substances in and out of the cell. Then you need to say, it also contains bacterial DNA. It is not in a nucleus, and what that does, it controls the function of the cell. So there is no nucleus. There is a cell wall. This time they are not made of cellulose. Cellulose is a tough material, and the outside of a bacterial cell isn't tough like that. And it supports and strengthens the cell. There is also a plasmid. This is a small ring of DNA, and what it does, it contains additional DNA, or additional genes. There's also cytoplasm, which is the site of the chemical reactions, and basically what it is, it's a gel-like substance containing enzymes to catalyse the reactions, right? So what it's got enzymes in there that make the reactions happen that the bacterial cell requires. So, back to the question. Describe and give the functions of a prokaryotic bacterial cell. You will say, a prokaryotic bacterial cell has a cell membrane. The cell membrane is semi-permeable and it controls the movement of substances in and out of the cell. The bacterial cell also contains bacterial DNA. It is not in a nucleus, it basically floats in the cytoplasm, and its role is to control the function of the cell. The cell wall around the outside, this time is not made of cellulose, and it supports and strengthens the cell. Plasmid is small rings of DNA, and it contains additional genes. The final one is then cytoplasm, which is the site of chemical reactions in the cell. And what that is, it's like a gel-like substance containing enzymes to catalyse the reactions. So what you then need to do is you need to put all of those different points to answer that question to get the maximum marks for it. Describe and give the functions of a prokaryotic bacterial cell.